Hello, everyone. Can you just confirm, please, that you can hear me? And sorry that I'm a bit late. Oh, yeah. Oh. I hope you hear me. Can anybody confirm, please? So, let me answer these few questions tonight. We're going to talk about everything that you want to talk. We can talk about training. We can talk about nutrition. Let me see. Some interesting question. Iggy Pop Drop, thank you very much for your support. As you know, guys, this is a channel that I'm trying to develop, make it as big as possible for you, and do as many videos as possible, answer all your questions. So, you speak here. All right, thank you. So let me answer this question about supplements first. Do you recommend any supplements like whey or multivitamin? So number one thing, you need to understand that supplements, as the name suggests, are supplements. They supplement your diet. So when the diet is correct, when you eat enough protein and enough fat, enough good food that obviously contains everything, which means all nutrients, macronutrients and micronutrients, you are more or less covered. So there are few essential vitamins and minerals that you need to supply because they are not necessarily in the food. Number one would be omega-3, which is found either in fish oil or cod liver oil. This is the most important supplement you can do because our food that we eat doesn't have much omega-3. It has predominantly omega-6. So this is number one supplement. I take it every day. I take 10 mils every day in the morning. I prefer to take oil as a fish oil liquid rather than capsules, because otherwise you will have to take 10 capsules a day, which means that is a too much gel to swallow and make your liver busy to digest that gel, which you don't need to do it. Number two is vitamin D. So vitamin D is critical. Is more than a vitamin, is a prohormone, and it is involved in many important functions in the body. So this is another vitamin that I suggest. I suggest 4,000 units a day. And number three would be vitamin C. This is something that we don't have much in the food, unless you eat food like sauerkraut or other rich food which is rich in vitamin C. It's important to have enough vitamin C, although if you are not eating a lot of carbohydrates, you will absorb even a little amount of vitamin C that you have through food. So if you're eating carbohydrates, you will need to supplement vitamin C, because vitamin C and glucose are actually fighting for the same pathway. And if you are eating carbohydrates, then they will dominate, and your absorption of vitamin C will be lowered. So these three are critical. Everything else, more or less, not necessary. If you eat enough meat, eggs, liver, fish, cheese, chicken, turkey, you will be more or less covered with everything else. So again, the same the same question. Would you prefer to put a training demo video? I mean, I've done lots of videos on my YouTube channel. You have them, and I'm showing how to do things. And I will also I'm preparing to do the new set of videos in which I will perform myself, so you can see how I advise training to be done. Also, there is a There is a video that is coming soon with my son Milos, and it is going to be devoted to natural bodybuilders. We're also preparing a new book as well, which is going to be called Natural Bodybuilding. So yes, just stay tuned, and this will come. Can I use sugar in my coffee? You need you don't need to use any sugar. Use sweetener instead. Sugar is not necessarily very good for you because it's just gonna increase the insulin levels in your body and cause havoc. Literally, although even in small amounts is not necessarily dangerous, but it can become addictive. So I would not advise any sugar. I don't take any sugar at all. Another one. What is your opinion on counting calories every day when the goal is to lose body fat? Do you personally count your calories, or do you think it's even necessary on low carb diet? I never counted calories. I don't think that's relevant at all. You see, your body is not a machine, and whoever tells you how many calories you need and how many calories you should eat is talking absolute nonsense. Nobody knows anything about you or me or any other individual. When people come up with some proposals, they talk in general, but general is not the same as individual recommendation. So I can't tell you exactly how many calories do you need. The only way to do that is to start eating the way that I have advised. So go on high protein, medium fat, low carb diet. Try to be on 3-4 grams of protein per kg. Fat probably 1 to 2 grams per kg, and carbohydrates around 50 grams or none. I don't eat any carbs for weeks. Maybe I would have a sweet potato here and there once a week, once in 2 weeks. I don't know why would one spend time counting calories. You better spend time training properly, as I advise. Eat 2-3 times a day, clean food, and you will find out that this amount of food is actually giving you results. So if you're not getting leaner, then reduce amount of food and just go by feeling, because you're not the robot. Everybody who thinks in digits and talks about human body is not going to do it. It's just an illusion. I mean, nobody ever counted calories. Arnold, Frank Zane, Sergio Oliva, Serge Nubret, people just ate and trained. And they ate the diet that I'm recommending, and they've trained high number of sets, high number of reps. Some of them train muscles twice per week. Some of them train once per week. Regardless, you have to try, and you have to find out actually what works for you. Okay, let me see what else is there. What is your opinion on the dried organ supplements? Apparently, Gironda was a big fan of them. Well, Gironda was a big fan of this glandular dried desiccated liver tablets and also other glands. They are very, very rich with minerals, vitamins, obviously protein, high density protein. They can be taken as a supplement but if you're eating enough, you don't necessarily need to take any supplements in that form. You're basically taking dry food. So why would you take dry liver? You should eat liver. I eat liver 3 to 5 times a week. Every meal when I eat liver is at least 500 grams of liver. So why would I take desiccated liver tablets? So basically, if you're eating low protein, high carb diet, and you want to enrich your diet, then you have to take. But don't forget, every supplement is processed food if it's coming from the food. So it's exposed to high temperatures. Obviously, the shelf life is a couple of years probably, and that means that the enzymes in the food are deactivated. So I would always stick to the food. I got my best results without taking any desiccated liver tablets or organ tablets. So just food. Food is the miracle. Food is everything that you need. This is how we are created. Human body is not made to create desiccated liver tablets, but to absorb liver or meat. And every time you divert from that natural intended way of digesting food, then it's not going to be the best solution. For most of the other supplements, I cannot tell much about what is their destiny in human body. Nobody knows. We live in the time and era in which the supplement industry dominates, and they want to take everything. So, as I said, apart from few supplements, I'm not a big believer in anything else. So maybe magnesium, vitamin D, obviously, fish oil, uh, vitamin C, they are essential. Everything else you will have in your food if you eat correctly. How do you know when to add volume with your training split? Currently following one body part per week, 4-day split. Feels like I handle more volume, especially on back and arms day. So basically, I average around 25 to 30 sets per session. That doesn't mean that you should. You have to. I'm just giving you an example. So I don't need it. I don't feel like I can increase that. Like, for example, yesterday I had to do shoulders and arms together because I could not do 5 days. So I did 4. So I had to put shoulders and arms together. So for shoulders, for example, I did 5 sets each, 3 different exercises, this 15 sets. And then I did 10 sets for biceps, 10 for triceps. So altogether, this was 35 sets. And I just didn't feel like I can do more. I didn't do 35 sets because that was written in some holy script. No, I've just done 5 sets each exercise, and it happened to be fantastic. Sometimes I do more sets per exercise. Let's say I do leg press. I can do 7-8 sets of leg press, then move on, do another 4 or 5 sets of squats, and finish quads maybe with another 5 sets of extensions. If I still feel I can do something, I may do 3-4 sets of lunges. But basically, whatever comes at the end, that's it. Not necessarily you have to add. It's not in the numbers. It's how you do your sets, how you perform your reps, and what you get out of it, what you feel. Because you are not a machine. And every single time in every one of my videos, I always said the same thing. You have to follow your instincts. You have to try and see how that works for you. So if your sets are not intense enough, if you're resting too long, you can end up with doing 100 sets per session, but that doesn't make any sense. So if you do everything I advise correctly, you will be probably ending up your, let's say, back workout with 20, 25 sets, maybe 30. And this is it. There is no need to add extra. Nobody said that there is some magic number. People that I talk about, people like Sergio Oliva, people like Serge Nubre or Arnold, I explain what I've done. And that the main idea is to suggest you that there are different options so you can experiment. Not necessarily everybody has to do the same thing, but you have to try and find out what actually works for you. Well, is using a belt good if one has low back issues? Well, the belt is not going to help you much. Doesn't support anything. It just gives you that feeling of, but this is a fake feeling. It gives you the feeling of safety in your abdominals and lower back, but in reality, it doesn't do anything. You can still get injured even if you wear a belt. So it's just yet another gadget in the bag. People like to have all this paraphernalia bag with knee wraps, straps, belts, special shoes for this, for that, and they carry on that and perform their rituals. But that's not necessary. I mean, you just don't need a belt. I don't use a belt. I never use a belt. So this way, I feel my body much better, and I'm more aware of what I'm doing. I don't think the belt is seriously anything that that you should consider. The form is much more important than the belt. What do you think of carnivore diet? Well, I've given an interview to one of carnivore, our biggest carnivore advocates, Anthony Chaffee, Dr. Anthony Chaffee, and I'm going to publish that interview. There are two big interviews. One is on diet, on nutrition, and one is on training. So I'm going to be publishing them from Wednesday. I will break them down in each video in 3 parts, because they are very long videos, hour and a half. So you will have an opportunity to listen to that interview in 3 parts. So the first part, when we talk about low carb diets, is coming on Wednesday at 10 o'clock a.m. London time. So carnivore diet is one of the low carb diets. It is shown that many people who had issues like different immune diseases, and also intolerance to many plant foods, have dramatically improved their conditions, but completely eliminating all plant foods in their diets, like vegetables, salads, and everything else. It is true that a lot of plants contain chemicals which actually can cause a lot of problems in your digestive system, simply because plants themselves, they're trying to defend themselves. So they contain anything like lectins. One of the most famous is lectin is one that causes a lot of problems, which is found especially in grains, and just can't remember the name, is on top of my mouth, is gluten, of course. Yeah, so gluten is one of the lectins. Lectins have that ability to literally their proteins bind with carbohydrates, and they penetrate the endothelium of the small intestine and large intestine as well. So they have that ability to penetrate and enter the bloodstream as they are, causing issues like, for example, Crohn's disease, little immune disease of digestive system, because they get through the tissue into the bloodstream. They shouldn't be doing that. So lectins can be very dangerous. Also, there are many other components which are phytochemicals, that can be also bad for health. But some people react to them, some people don't. So if you don't have any any problems with eating vegetables or salads, you can eat them. There's nothing wrong with that. You can follow, let's say, paleo diet, which is obviously more diverse. It gives you options. But even paleo diet is in a way adapted carnivore diet, because there are different ways of approaching carnivore diet. The most basic drastic type of carnivore diet is obviously meat only. This is why it's called carnivore. But also you can eat eggs. Some people eat eggs. Modified carnivore diet, like eggs, chicken, fish, even cheese. So everything that is high in protein and fat, or medium fat, as long as you avoid plant food, that will be considered as a derivative of the basic carnivore diet, which is essentially meat. So yes, you can try. My diet is not pure carnivore, but is in a way carnivore. I spoke to Dr. Chaffee about that in detail, and I eat at least once a day. I have a salad, which is usually lettuce, tomatoes, and beetroots, and also I have pickled vegetables like sauerkraut and other vegetables, mixed vegetables, which are pickled. So I just respond to that great. But my meals are mainly eggs in the morning with cottage cheese, as most of you know. Then I do chicken and or turkey or fish in the afternoon, and then as a last meal, I usually have some type of red meat with salad, mixed salad. So sometimes I have cheese on the top. So basically, very simple, very effective diet, high quality protein, very dense nutritionally. Meat is full of minerals and vitamins, not only protein. and eggs, obviously, they're full of everything. So this is the best diet that can actually benefit everybody. High protein, medium fat, low carb, and carnivore is one of those diets. You have keto diet, you have paleo diet, and you have carnivore diet. So you can experiment and find out what works for you, and obviously follow and thrive on the diet that gives you the best results. Do you recommend 3 days of full body strength training of split training? Well, as you know, I don't recommend anything like full body training, because this is not appropriate when one discusses things like optimized muscle growth and fat loss. This is what I do. I only talk about optimized muscle growth and fat loss. I'm not interested in having fun in the gym or doing whatever for the sake of doing it. You can do obviously whatever you want. We live in the free world, so you're more than welcome to enjoy yourself, to have great fun, and believe that you're doing great things in the gym. Train body every day if you want. The whole body doesn't make any difference. But is this the best way to optimize muscle growth and fat loss? No, it's not. Simply because you will never train every muscle fully. When you train the whole body, first body part is going to be trained on the highest level, and then every next one is going to be less and less, and follow as a junk volume. Also, when you put chest, back, legs, shoulders, arms together, none of these muscles will be able to do enough sets. How are you going to perform 30 sets for back if you do whole body workout? So it's impossible. So is the wrong concept in the beginning. So before it even starts, if you again want to optimize your muscle growth and fat loss, if you don't just want to go to the gym and have a fun, fine, do whatever you want, but this is not the best thing to do if you want maximum muscle growth and fat loss. What do you think of Milos Sarcev's hypervolumizing techniques, where you take BCAAs and dextrose, among other things? Well, you can take whatever you want. You can call that system whatever you like. It's just your physiology, your human physiology in general doesn't really care what you're calling the system and what you're doing while you're training. But you need to understand that whatever you take, it's going to take hours to be digested and absorbed in your body. So you can stuff yourself with all kind of chemicals, including branched chain amino acids or other processed supplements, and nobody knows what is the destiny of these supplements in the human body. We can only guess. So if you're eating correctly, Arnold didn't have BCAAs, didn't have anything, creatine, glutamine, and all these fancy supplements as we have today. They're actually multi-billion-dollar industries, so they've done their best to psych you up into them anyway, most of you at least. So how did Serge Nubre and Sergio Oliva and Arnold and Frank Zane and others, how did they get in that? Lee Haney, how did they get in this amazing shape when they didn't have stuff? And those bodies, those physiques were never surpassed. Everything that came after is so plastic, so unreal, so out of aesthetics, out of idea of bodybuilding, of having small waist, wide shoulders, having defined body, big legs and calves, some symmetry and proportions. That's all gone. That's all gone because supplement industry took over and actually promoted bodybuilding of freaks. And now we are living in this world. So if you think that this is going to help you, or whoever is advocating that, good luck to all of you. But I don't think you won't benefit at all. It's this consistency. This is a physiological conditions that have to be fulfilled, and that some of them are necessary. The training system, as I suggest, training volume, number of sets, number of reps, form, selection of exercises, and the diet that I recommend. Everything I've recommended in my videos is absolutely essential, and this advice that I'm giving it to you have helped me and helped thousands of clients that I've looked after, naturals, enhanced bodybuilders, competitive bodybuilders, professional bodybuilders, and it also helps people in golden era who were the paramount of bodybuilding. So it's entirely up to you. A question: when body gets used to higher volume, do you have to keep doing the high volume in order to still see muscle gain and lose fat? Of course. Of course that you have to do it. This is the best training system that the best bodybuilders in the world ever did, including, again, legends from golden era, and also countless number of modern bodybuilders like Phil Heath, Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, Kevin Levrone, Sean Ray, you name it, Lee Priest. They all did high volume. Why did they do this? Because obviously you need you need to give the body what body requires, and it's not going to be anything else but high volumes. Now, how many sets, again, is entirely up to you, up to your level, up to your fitness experience, up to your determination, ambition, etc., genetics. So you don't have to change anything. You will be using those essential growth factors like progressive overload, then time under tension, mechanical tension, then metabolic stress, and these factors will all together will contribute to your maximum muscle growth. So there is no need to change anything. Just keep doing things and follow your instinct. Thank you very much for your support, SA. I again have to say, everybody, thank you very much for your help, and you can support my channel via super chats and super stickers, and that's very much appreciated. And it will obviously help me to do more videos for you, more live chats as well. So yeah, feel free to help the channel. Again, thank you. S.A. Julie, thank you again for your support. And high fat carnivore diet, or is this not optimal for fat loss? Well, you see, when we talk about fat, right, in carnivore diet or any diet, if you stick to what I said, the natural food, wholesome food, meat, eggs, fish, so whatever is in that food, look at the ratio between protein and fat. All right. So for example, if you look at the eggs have a ratio 50-50, 6 grams of protein in average, 6 grams of fat. If you look at meat is usually 20% 20% protein, and fat can be around average 10-12%, depending on which cut you have. So it's very unusual to find meat which is 50% protein, 50% fat. I never come across that. That will be some really, really fat cut. Also, if you look at fish is high protein, again, relatively low fat. Like, for example, especially oily ocean fish like herrings, sardines, mackerel, also wild salmon. Wild salmon is the leanest, but mackerel, herrings, and sardines, especially mackerel, is oily. But the amount of fat is never reaching the amount of protein. So I would say if you have, for example, 300 grams of protein in your diet, your fat should be around 100-150 grams. And then you continue an experiment. If you continue training, as I suggest, and follow this diet, and you are lean, and your workouts are very effective, you're getting your pump, you're growing or maintaining, depending on what you want, then everything is fine. If you're not lean as much as you think you should be, then you should reduce the fat, maybe from 150 down to 100 grams. I have some competitive bodybuilders who are right now on 350 grams of protein and 70 grams of fat, and they have achieved phenomenal condition. They are just ready to step on the stage, all covered with veins. So you play with fat. So when it comes to carbohydrates, if you have a salad or two a day, I don't count them as carbs because they are usually negative carbs. You see, you burn more energy to digest them than they bring with themselves. Then you have to, if you have any other carbs, maybe once a week, especially women should be very careful about carbs, because women on carbs in general, they don't go together. Women are much more prone to generate body fat from carbohydrates than men. So there are many different reasons for that. So I would say for women to stay low in carbs always. So this is regarding Julie's question. Again, thank you very much for your support. How do you know if you're in deficit? Oh, sorry, Iggy Pop, did you miss my previous super chat question? I didn't see it. Sorry, let me just check up. And again, thank you for your support. Okay, I see it now. If I do 8 to 12 reps and go under 8, you say don't do any more sets. If I do 15 to 20 reps, do I stop if I go under 15, or I can go lower? Thanks, learning a lot. So 8 to 12 reps obviously relate to upper body exercises. This is what I suggest in order to get the best results for upper body muscles. So 8 to 12 for chest, back, shoulders, arms, obviously, also gastrocnemius, which is calves. So you want to do a little bit higher number of reps for soleus, which is a different muscle. So soleus is the muscle on the side of your calf, and it should be trained anywhere from 15 to 20 reps actually, because it responds much better that way. But when you do 8 to 12 reps, let's say I'll give you my example. I take, let's say, whatever weight it is for shoulder press, and I start with 12 reps, rest 30 seconds, 40 seconds, whatever. Then I do another set. So sometimes it happens that I do another 12 reps. So my sets are not all out. They are never to failure. So I'm always able to do few sets around that number, 12, 11, 10. As I progress, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th sets, depending on the day. My number of sets usually, the number of reps starts dropping down. So from 10 goes to 9, 8, there may be 8 again. And the last set will be the set in which I reach the number of reps which is under 8. So if I reach 6 or 7 reps, that's it. That's the last set. There is nothing else to do. So how many sets did I do? Regardless, it can be 4, it can be 5. But once I hit that last rep, obviously I just stop, because it's time to move on. Now, you mentioned if I do 15 to 20 reps, do I stop if I go under 15, or I can go lower? So for let's say for legs, for quads, I advise 12 to 20 reps. So the same principle. I take, for example, whatever, 4 or 5 plates each side on the leg press machine, and I do 20 reps in the first set. So I do a rest, a minute and a half, and do another one. I usually get around 20 again, or 18, 19 reps. So as many sets I carry on. Once I hit that 12, I try again. If I hit 12 again, I do another set. But once I go under 12, let's say 9 or 10, this is my last set. So I think this is very clear, and is definitely something that you want to do, because not just that is super effective for muscle growth and fat loss, but is also a very safe method of training. So you will never get injured if you follow this. Obviously, you need to do everything in right form. So once you hit that minimum number of reps, or once you go under that, that's your last set. So another question, you talk about working muscle once a week. Does it apply to calves as well, since it's a smaller muscle? Can you work it twice a week? Well, once again, there is no reason why would you do calves twice per week. So if you do it correctly, if you do it properly, once a week is all that you need to do. Dorian Yates trained his calves once per week, and he had the best calves on the stage, on the bodybuilding in the era of 90s. So there is no need for them if you do them properly, obviously. So I try to do around 10 sets of calf raises, standing calf raises, and then try to hit as many sets as I can seated calf raises for solos. So these two, if I can do 10 and 10, they'll be fantastic. This is great session. Sometimes I hit maybe 8 to 10 sets first movement, and then 6, 7, 8 sets in the second one, and that's fine. I don't need to do them twice. There are some occasions when people can train them twice for a short period of time, let's say 4 to 6 weeks, or maybe 3 times. There are techniques for people who are trying to engage more particular muscles which are lagging. They are underdeveloped comparing to the rest of them. But these are extreme advanced techniques, and it had to be done, obviously supervised by somebody who is very experienced. You need a professional trainer for that. Hopefully you find a good one. And it's not something that you should just do it. If they're not as good as they should be, your calves, make sure that when you hit them 100%. So this is the most of the time the best answer for everybody who wants to improve lagging muscle group. Any types of improving digestion on high protein, moderate fat diet. So when you say improving digestion, the only thing that can be relevant to digest for the digestion of carbohydrates is obviously hydrochloric acid in the stomach. So if your hydrochloric acid for whatever reasons is weakened, then you should consider maybe taking some supplements like digestive enzymes, but also try to avoid drinking alcohol or any fizzy drinks while you're eating meat or eggs or anything else, because fizzy drinks, they dilute, they neutralize acid, so you don't want to drink them during your meal. So try to avoid drinking any liquids during your meal. Just eat meat and eggs or whatever it is, because this is the best way for the body to to absorb. Also, you can help your digestion with adding balsamic vinegar, or maybe having apple cider vinegar before your meal, just immediately before your meal. If you have, let's say, half a glass of water with a 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, that can also help digestion. Do you need flat bench if you're already doing incline? So what angle of your chest exercises you should do? Actually, you need to understand what are the biomechanics of chest muscles. So when you do flat chest press, you're stimulating mainly the large section of your pectoralis major muscle, which is around 85% of your muscle. So when you do flat or decline, most of your major pectoralis will be stimulated to grow. So this major portion of major pectoralis is called sternocostal major pectoralis. Now there is another section of your major pectoralis, which is anywhere, it can be from 15 to 20%, depending on individuals. And this is something that we call upper chest. Now, upper chest, the real name for that section is clavicular major pectoralis. So that clavicular major pectoralis, which is 15 to 20%, cannot be activated when you are in the flat position, when the force is perpendicular to your sternocostal section, or when you are on decline bench. That section, 15 to 20% of your overall major pectoralis, is not activated. Now, in order to activate that section, you need to go on incline bench, which should be around 30%, all the way up to 45. So 30 to 45. You need to try and experiment, see what you feel more in your clavicular, which is under your collarbone section of chest. that can be 15 to 20%. So it's quite substantial. This is why we do incline press. The reason for that is that insertion of most of your major pectoralis is in the sternum. So insertion of, and then obviously, the origin is in the sternum and insertion is the shoulders. So for the upper chest, the origin is in the clavicle, in the collarbone, is not in the sternum. So when you stretch your chest, you're not stretching this section there. For that section, you need to go incline. You need to stretch that under the angle, simply because of the origin of your upper chest. So there were a lot of people who debated about it and said, "Oh, incline is not necessary. You don't need to do it." No, absolute nonsense. They implicated that they know nothing about anatomy. So if you don't know about anatomy, why are you talking about exercises and biomechanics? Biomechanics are not invented by anyone. It's just how human body works. An upper chest requires angle because the origin of the upper chest muscles is in the collarbone. That cannot be, that part of the chest cannot be stretched or contracted if you are on the flat or decline. So if you're doing incline, you are only stimulating your upper chest or clavicular major pectoralis. So yes, you need to do both flat and incline. You can't just do incline. If you don't want to train 20% of your chest muscles, then don't do incline. So basically, you have to do both. So you said there is a question. I did legs last week, a total of 17 sets for quads and hamstrings and 10 sets for calves. So it's altogether 27 sets. Is that okay? So if you did 17 sets for quads and hamstrings, I don't know how many you've done for hamstrings, but I would suggest you to do, let's say, 3 movements for quads. Let's say you do leg press, you do squats, and you do leg extensions. So these 3 exercises, if you do them in, let's say, 5 sets each, that'll be 15 sets. So if you do leg curls, for example, another 5 sets, there'll be 20. And so it's already a little bit more than you've done. It can be enough depending on your stage, on your fitness development, on your level. But again, 10 sets for calves is fine. It sounds good, but it depends on your level. So if you are feeling that everything is fine, that you're recovering after that and you're growing, then you're doing well. If you feel that you can do a little bit more, feel free, experiment. Everybody needs to experiment. You understand? It's not one size fits all. Bodybuilding is very individual because we are all basically different and we respond to different training systems differently. So I'm just giving you guidance. Guidance is not a recipe, it's the suggestion of which way you should go, but it's never a recipe. So feel free and feel brave to experiment and get to the best possible answers. Let me see something else. Now, a question, what is your opinion on dairy? So dairy milk products are fine for some people, but are not fine for everyone. The reason for that is obviously milk sugar, which is called lactose. So the milk sugar is the most potent and the hardest to digest in milk. So if you drink milk, the lactose is not necessarily easy to digest. So most of the people have issues because in order to digest lactose, we need an enzyme called lactase. That enzyme usually we stop producing as children. And without lactose is not digested and it goes through the system undigested, causing gas, bloating, water retention, and may cause even more allergies as well to some people. Now, when it comes to yogurt or kefir, when it comes to cheese, in those cases, lactose is fermented, is semi-digested, so it may be much easier for most of the people to be digested. I don't have any problem eating cottage cheese or cheddar cheese or kefir, yogurt, so sometimes I have them as well. And there are people who have problems. So even with the semi-digested lactose, some people have problems. They should avoid it. So basically, this is not necessarily the best food for everyone, but if you don't have any problems, you should be consider it as another option. Why don't you include fruit as a part of low carb diets? Well, I personally don't eat fruit. The only reason for that is that I rarely eat fruit. Last time I had fruit was when I was on holiday. I had some melon, watermelon, stuff like that. It's just sugar. Again, you're not going to avoid the sugar, and fruit that we know as fruit, obviously, is produced in a way that has huge amount of sugar inside. So in nature, there is nothing like apples big like that, melons, bananas, and all that. They're all basically genetically modified food through centuries, maybe, by crossing different species of fruit, different types of apples or pears or whatever. People created fruit which is big and full of sugar. So in nature, you will never find big apples, big cherries, big strawberries, because they don't exist. They're in wild. You will probably never eat them because they are not even edible. They are not even sweet as much as we have produced them. So basically, replacing your chocolate or biscuits with fruit is more or less the same thing. That is going to end up as as sugar. For people who are overeating fruit or even taking fructose as extra sugar, this can even lead to fatty liver, because fructose is a very particular type of sugar, and it gets very easily converted into fat, but that fat from fructose is usually stored in the liver. So not many benefits from fruits. Again, it's just a marketing, hook that is used around the world in order to sell it. So fruit was never staple food for humans, because throughout millennia, Homo sapiens been around for around 400,000 years. Fruit was never a staple food. Imagine just Ice Age. Last Ice Age lasted 20,000 years. So where was fruit then? Strawberries, cherries, berries, melons, bananas, they didn't exist. So how did we evolve around? What was the staple food? The staple food was always meat. Then later on, in our evolution, some 50,000 years ago, humans started catching fish as well. But for the most of it, for the overwhelming duration of our evolution, the staple food for humans was always meat. Humans are more carnivores than even wolves, believe it or not, because in the remains of humans found during the last ice age, in the bones, more nitrogen has been found than in the bones of wolves, suggesting that humans actually ate more meat than other predators. Just a little reminder of who we are when it comes to our anatomy and our physiology. And yeah, obviously relating to fruit. So let me check another question. So there is somebody who is a member of the site asking me how they can access monthly workout plan. So for that, you need to get in touch with me, send me an email, and obviously send me some information about you. And people who are in particular tiers in my membership scheme are entitled to general training and nutrition plans. So you can send me your details, especially your training method right now, your particular diet, what are you eating on a daily basis, and your experience. If you send me another 2 photos of you, it will be even better, and then I will send you general nutritional and training program. Question: have you tried German volume training? Well, my training is super German volume training. They are advising 10 by 10. I do 30 sets, anywhere from for legs from 12 to 20. So there is a big difference between that. So if your experience is very intense, imagine what I experience when I do 30 sets and do 12 to 20 reps. I'm 55 and can't put any size on. I've started walking uphill with 17 kgs in my rucksack. So why do you think you're going to put any size by walking with 17 kgs in your rucksack? You need to do bodybuilding, obviously, if you want to put size. This is the only sport which will develop muscle size, weight training. So go back to my videos about training, and you will get all the information that you need. Says I tried eating like Serge Nubret style diet, 2 meals a day of steak and eggs, but it's very hard to meet your protein goals in just 2 meals. Well, I never said that you should eat like Serge Nubret. Serge Nubret was Serge Nubret, and he would eat as much as he could have eaten, 2-3 pounds of meat in one sitting, so no problem. I eat also at least a pound of red meat or liver, and sometimes I eat like 4 or 5 eggs and 500 grams of steak or 500 grams of liver. So this is about roughly about 150 grams of protein. So if I eat twice per day, that is going to be 300 grams of protein. But this is obviously me. You need to try and see if you cannot reach your necessary amount of protein in 2 meals, try with 3 or try in 4. So nothing is written in stone. You need to adapt, you need to try, and you need to be patient, because you need to also people don't know how to eat, because eating that prescription, eating 3 times per day is like a God-given recipe for super health or whatever longevity. This is not true. A lot of people don't feel like eating 3 times per day. They eat once a day and they live long, and they're super healthy because they allow body for autophagy and other processes that actually happen in the body. But this obviously relates, some people don't eat every day, and in the past they didn't eat every day. But you have to bear in mind that those people were not bodybuilders, so they didn't go to the gym every day and perform 30 sets for legs or back. So obviously sometimes when you hear these things, don't just copy and paste. Now if you're training with weights, you definitely need to eat more than what people did in the past. Hunters and gatherers maybe at once a day if they were lucky, twice a day with a super happy day. But we are not hunters and gatherers. We live in a different world, and especially if you're performing weight training and you're aiming to develop muscle size and burn body fat, you will need to eat more. So if you cannot fit everything in 2 meals, try with 3. It doesn't matter. Nothing is written in stone. The only rules are your rules, and I'm just giving you suggestions and guidance. So if you eat 5 times per day and you switch to 3, you may start losing body fat much faster, and you still keep the same amount of protein. So it's much better to eat 100 grams of protein 3 times per day than to eat 6 times per day 50 grams of protein. Simply because if you eat 3 times per day, you will have much longer gap between the meals, and during that gap between the meals, your insulin will go down and you will be producing more growth hormone. So this is clearly much more beneficial than eating 6 times per day. So again, you need to get there. You need to try like everything else, and you need to adapt. Okay, let me see something else. Don't we need carbs for energy? No, you don't need carbs for energy. I'm still here. As you can see, I'm not fainting. I never had carbs. I didn't eat carbs in 2 weeks, and I'm training every day. So where the energy comes from? So you're just been sold a big lie. that you need carbs for energy. So no, you don't. What is the ideal rest between during sets? Well, I've said it many times, for upper body, anywhere from 30 to 45 seconds. For lower body, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, you need to try. Don't rest too long, because if you rest too long, you're entering the type of training which is not bodybuilding type of training. You're training like a power lifter. So I had the video, which is called Bodybuilding is Not Powerlifting. So I would suggest you to check that video, and then you will understand. I talk about that more in detail there. Your nutrition book has a couple of diet examples. Should I pick one and stick to it, or does it rotate weekly? Which one do I begin with first? Well, I don't know which ones are those examples, but stick to the principles. The principles are the most important. So you need to really relate to principles and then adapt them to your likings. Don't just say what I've done there. I'm giving you an idea. When I do training, nutritional programs for people, I always put in the meal, let's say meal number 2 is 350 grams of either meat or chicken or liver or fish. So you choose, you pick. So you keep the principle 350 grams. This is around 70 grams of protein. So this is the main thing. So you choose whatever you want, but make sure that the amount of protein is always the same. So principles as the one to take care of, not necessarily particular example. Okay. Yeah, Iggy Pop Drop said, I notice I feel very sluggish if I drink carbonated water with a meal. Of course, because simply you are neutralizing your acid, which is the most important. You need to do everything in order to increase your hydrochloric acid. Now, hydrochloric acid it needs salt, needs chloride to be produced. So your stomach is producing it, but for that you need salt. This is why salt is among the very important, the most important mineral actually in the human diet. And apart from other reasons, you also need salt in order to produce hydrochloric acid. So when people go on a low salt diet, they are lacking the powerful, strong hydrochloric acid, which is the acid in the stomach to digest protein. And you don't want to take anything else that is diluted. Take extra balsamic vinegar or extra apple cider vinegar in your salads, or apple cider vinegar can be taken also during or better before meal. That can all help digest more food. So you want to pay attention that your protein is fully digested. And this is why I say that longer periods between the meals are better, because they will allow for the food to be digested and absorbed slower, on the slower rate, which is actually much more beneficial for your protein synthesis than eating smaller meals, which have the peak but also have a drop of amino acids in your blood, rather than having a constant influx throughout the day, which is achieved by eating 2 or 3 meals a day. Can I do chest day only with machines? Well, you can, but I don't think that would be the most effective. There are exercises that are seriously more effective if they're done with the free weights. The combination of both will be better, simply because when you do free weights, you're using your stabilizing muscles. There are many different stabilizing muscles around, and you're also engaging your ligaments and your tendons in a much more effective way. While when you're using machines, you don't, because the machine is only a linear motion, because it's a machine. So you just push it. It's not going to go left or right. But when you do dumbbells, for example, incline dumbbell press or flat bench press with the dumbbells, you have to balance 2 dumbbells on both sides. So the dumbbells can go forward, backwards, left, right. So you are driving them in order to keep them driving in that particular trajectory. You are engaging a lot of supporting muscles, which are stabilizers. When you do machines, they don't work. So this is the reason why weights always work better for most of the people. A combination of both is good. But again, I will remind you that in the golden era, people didn't have any machines apart from pull downs and maybe leg press. And I can't think hex squats as well. So they didn't have much machines. And look at them. Look how they developed. There's physiques like the latest video that I've done on Sergio Oliva is just another world, another phenomenon. And everything he did was actually free weights. Let me see what else is there. How much protein is the max that can be eaten in one meal? I heard there are limits that can be used at once. Well, again, I did many videos on that subject. There is no literal limit. You can eat 100 grams, 150 grams. None of that is going to be wasted. Protein doesn't get wasted simply because it's called protein, meaning most important, from Greek word protos, which means essential, most important. This is why we have proton in atoms. Then protein is food, the most important one. So the body will never waste protein. If you eat more, the body will slow digestion and you will digest it for longer. So you will keep satiety for longer. You will feel fuller for longer, simply because the body will be digesting for longer. But it's not going to waste anything. So that story that you need to eat 5, 6, 7 times a day, 30, 40 grams of protein is a nonsense, physiological nonsense. And on the end of the day, you need to try again, see what works for you. 2 meals, 3 meals, 4 meals. Some people do good with more meals, but I'm just telling you what is the best for you for long-term development, sustainability, and obviously longevity and health. So a lot of people who are stuffing themselves with food, most of them eating 5, 6 times a day, they're all fat. You need to try. If you are lean and you're eating more meals, fine, keep it. But then experiment. Try to see what will happen if you eat less meals, but still the high amount of protein. The question, what carbs would you eat on refeeds for glycogen stores? I add carbs once a month, usually 3 sweet potatoes. Well, for that refeed, you can do it whenever you want, literally. I try doing it on every 4 days. I try doing it every 5 days, 7 days, 15 days. I used to go on a month without any refeed. I personally didn't feel any difference. People think, oh, I'm going to do refeed. And I ask, what did you feel next day? Oh, nothing. It's all the same. So why did you do it? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, well, so why do you do refeed? If you don't feel difference next day, obviously you are not making any difference. Why is that? The reason for that lies in the physiology, again, in the physiological process of the liver, which is called gluconeogenesis. And what liver does is converts protein and ketones into glycogen. Now, glycogen is necessary for human beings. Is always been essential for our survival. Why? Well, just think. Throughout evolution, people didn't have any carbohydrates, any sweet potatoes, any rice, any pasta or bread or anything like that. They had meat. So do you think that these people throughout evolution didn't have glycogen? So if they didn't have glycogen, how would they sprint? How would they sprint to kill? How would they sprint for life? How would they fight for survival? How did they wage all these wars? How did they do any hard work? How did they do it without glycogen? So clearly they had glycogen. So where the glycogen came from? Glycogen came from gluconeogenesis, our ability to convert protein and ketones into glycogen. And the body will always do that. Now, when you are relying on gluconeogenesis for glycogen replenishment, you need to understand that your body will only create as much glycogen as needed. You need to earn your glycogen. All right. When you eat carbohydrates on a regular basis, the reason why most of the people are getting fat is because they replenish glycogen quickly with carbohydrates, but they usually overeat carbohydrates. So if they need 50 grams of carbs to replenish the glycogen they have lost, 50 grams of glycogen during the workout, and they eat 200 grams, 150 grams of that of those carbohydrates will go definitely into fat, because only 50 was needed to replenish glycogen in the muscles. So where else will 150 go? It will raise insulin, and insulin will take that extra glucose into the fat stores, because glycogen stores are already full. So if you carb up every month, or what did you say, once a month with 3 sweet potatoes, this is about 100 grams of carbs, roughly. I don't know what you feel after that. You wake up in the morning, double in size, veins popping out, all pumped or something like that, or nothing happens. So if nothing happens, you can eat them for different reasons. You can have, let's say, sweet potatoes once every week, twice every 2 weeks, whenever you want. Doesn't really matter. You just enjoy your meal, treat yourself. Like fruit, for example. Fruit is better than eating ice cream because you got less sugar, but it's still sugar. So if you have a piece of fruit, fine. But understand that this is not going to do big difference to you. Serge Nubret didn't eat any carbs. Most of the other top professional bodybuilders in the past never had carbs, and they still performed high intensity, long duration exercises for months before the show. So how did they do it? So once again, you don't really need carbs to replenish your glycogen. When I said carbs once or twice a week, well, last week I didn't have any carbs. Usually I have sweet potatoes. Sometimes I have rice. Not much, maybe 50 grams of carbs per meal. That with the whole week. I don't feel any difference next day. So last week, for example, I didn't have any carbs, and I didn't feel anything wrong. Every session was fantastic, great. I feel very strong. My sessions are 25, 30 sets, so I must have enough glycogen. So I just explained where it comes from. Vegetables and lettuce and all that, they have very little amount of carbs. I don't count them as carbs at all. How much apple cider vinegar should we drink before meals? One tablespoon, as I said, is enough in half or one glass of water. So yeah, this is enough for you to help digestion. Hi, Dominic. Yeah, thanks for coming back. I'm very happy that you are improving and things are going well, because we did a training program together. Among the effective diets and nutrition principles you speak about, do you ever recommend to specifically utilize a calorie surplus for growth? No. If you put extra calories, you're just going to get fat. You should be eating enough to be able to train properly, and the training is the reason for you to grow, not surplusing calories, because more calories than you can burn during the day and you need, and just get fat. So just follow the advice that I'm giving to people on high protein, medium fat, low carb diet, and watch your results. So you don't need anything extra, because how are you going to burn that extra? It's just I don't even count calories, so I don't know what surplus people talk about. Calisthenics. Often people ask me about that. Well, calisthenics is better than nothing, right? You can engage your body, your particular muscles in uh, in doing exercises like, I don't know, press ups, whatever exercises they're doing with body weight, it's fine. But those exercises are not biomechanically perfect. So you do everything. Every exercise is some part of combination of your different muscle groups. I just trying to remind everyone that I'm talking about optimized muscle growth and fat loss. I'm not talking about having fun. I'm not talking about having exercises which are better than nothing. I'm talking about super workouts for super muscle growth and super fat loss to get you the biggest possible and leanest possible. I'm not interested in any average approach. So people who do calisthenics, fine, they may look good, but they will never optimize their muscle growth and fat loss. So often there are a lot of people who are advising on YouTube, influencers who just skinny, they have six pack, they're well conditioned, but this is not what I'm talking about. Everybody can get skinny and have a six pack. I mean, look just in the concentration camps during the history, during wars. Everybody had six pack. Everybody was skinny. So this is not a big deal. So if you're just skinny and have six pack, everybody can get there. Starve yourself, eat a little bit, and you're gonna get there. But this is not what I'm talking about, because I'm talking about optimized muscle growth. So instead of being 90 kgs of muscle, lean muscle, you're going to end up being 70, but you're going to have six pack. So if that is your goal, fine. I don't have any problems. I see people like that, like people who train calisthenics. Most of the days I travel to work, go to central London. I see scaffolders. I see physical workers doing, labor workers doing road works without a top. And they all have six pack and they're very muscular, very lean. So they don't even go to the gym. So it's not a big deal about that. If you want to be in that kind of condition, you can do everything. So fine. I have I have nothing against it. Just choose what you want. But if you want to build muscles, if you want to get stronger, if you're gonna strengthen your bones and connective tissues for the rest of your life, there is nothing else that you can do but weight training. So in your beginner's ebook, you suggest working the full body 3 times per week for the first 3 months. Do you start long-term athletes on that same plan? Now, if you're a beginner, I suggest you doing the whole body. Everything I've suggested in the book should be followed by the letter. The reason for that is not that you're going to grow in these first 3 months. The reason is to get accustomed, used to gym equipment, gym, people in the gym etiquette, uh, intensity, duration, time under tension, rest between the sets, selection of exercises, all these things. If you are a beginner, you will need to get used to it. So more often you go to the gym and more often you perform certain things, you will get used to it faster. This is not the part of your program. As you know, there are 4 parts there every 3 months that will take you forward. Every next level will go different. So the reason why I'm saying that is that repetition of your exercises, which are going to be very low intensity in the beginning, this is why you can train the whole body 3 times a week. Repetition is the aim. As in Latin, the famous quote is repetitio mater studiorum est, meaning repetition is the mother of study. This is exactly what I have suggested in my books in the first part of your 4 parts program there. And this is why it should be done, not for optimal muscle growth, but for your introduction to the world of bodybuilding. What I call medium fat, when I say medium, I'm talking about, let's say, if you have 300 grams of protein in your diet, medium fat will be anywhere from, let's say, 150, 100 grams of fat. Anything more than that, it will be a high amount of fat. So that's the medium, roughly 50% or maybe 30, 35% of protein in grams. Um, so the lean bulk approach to growth may take longer, but is effective by training and eating effective by training and eating correctly. No big surplus is needed. Well, a lean bulk approach is not going to take longer. If you consider bulk as putting on weight, then just stuff yourself with food and you're gonna get there in 2-3 weeks. You can put 10, 15, 20 pounds if you call it bulk. When I don't even use that terminology at all. So there is no bulking in my world. So I put people on high protein, medium fat, low carb diet, and we start training properly. And when they start changing and putting on size, this is the equivalent of what most of the people use is bulk. They grow in muscle, lean muscle tissue. That's it. So I don't know what is longer or faster, but whatever it takes, it doesn't matter. In some people, they can put 10, 15 pounds of muscle within 2-3 months. Some people take 6 months. Some people may take longer, depending on, number one, are they natural or they are enhanced? Number two, if you're natural, which is a very unfair position, because being natural doesn't include anything which is called equality, because naturally we are very different. So you can be producing very little testosterone naturally. That means that you're going to progress slowly. There are people who produce more testosterone naturally, and they will progress 2-3 times faster than you. So there is no justice in natural bodybuilding. This is another stigma that people are always talking about, because some people are just naturally physically superior when it comes to their hormonal balance, when it comes to muscle bellies, muscle to tendon ratio, insertion origin of the muscles, etc., etc., muscle bellies. So not being natural doesn't mean anything. This is very unjust. Some people are short, some people are tall, some people have broad shoulders, some people have narrow shoulders. So how long it's going to take? Nobody knows. I can't. So there is nothing like it will take longer. It will take as long as it takes. It doesn't matter how long it takes, as long as you progress. I purchased your 92 training competition diary ebook. in your diet, the diet was different than today. Would you still achieve the same or better results by using your current diet? Well, between 92 and 25, there are 33 years difference. So imagine how much knowledge I have generated in the last 33 years. I still try to do my best in 1992, and I achieved fantastic results. But I believe that I was doing more training that I should have done. And also I was training muscles more often that I should have done. If I do it now, I would do it differently. And with the knowledge that I have now, I think I would end up being probably anywhere from 10 to 15 pounds heavier than in 1992. So yes, I think it would be much better with the current knowledge and current diet, because a lot of things change, especially in the last 10, 15 years. We learn science has moved forward, and we learn much more about digestion, about hormonal balance, about carbohydrates, glycogen storage, gluconeogenesis. In 1992, I didn't know much about this. So I was following advice, and I was following experience of more experienced athletes, professional bodybuilders, some of them the best in the world. But I don't like following things. I like knowing things and then experimenting and finding out what works for me the best. And this is what I'm advising everybody to do. Whatever I say to you, use it as a guidance, not as a recipe. So I'm not giving you a recipe. I'm giving you guidance. I'm navigating you. So I'm saying to you, imagine you're in the ship, and I'm saying to you, you're going to go west 32 degrees, and you will get there much faster than if you go 20 degrees or 45 degrees. So I'm giving you a guidance towards certain goals, but I can't drive that ship for you. I don't know how many people are in that ship, who is navigating, etc., etc. Basically, I can only help you to understand the basics of human physiology and anatomy and biomechanics and obviously nutrition, and give you my example and suggestions, guidance. But you are the final prosecutors. You are the one who will execute whatever you do. You are the owner of your life. So basically, I can't tell you what to do. I can only suggest. Okay, let me see what else is there. Would you pull creatine pre-contest even if you have no weight class? I don't use any creatine. I don't think anybody needs to use creatine if you are eating as I'm advising, because creatine, the best creatine that you can take is in the meat. This is where creatine is, in the muscle, because this is where you want to send your creatine in the powder. And nobody knows what is going to happen when you take that supplement. You can only guess and believe. But when you eat meat, I mean, look at the carnivores in nature. Look at lions and all the other animals. Where they get creatine from? Do they buy them as supplements and take them 3 times a day with orange juice? No, they don't. They just eat meat. And that meat allows them to be full of glycogen and full of creatine and ATP and all the other substances necessary for muscle contraction. So where did they get it from? Where should we get it from? I mean, we are not that different. We are carnivores. So if you look at the carnivores, our other species in nature, just ask yourself, when did you see a lion eating pizza or pasta or bread for glycogen stores? Look at them. Their muscles are exploding. They eat only meat. How do they build glycogen? Or cheetah or leopards or all others who need glycogen for sprinting almost with the speed of light. So where is glycogen coming from? No carbohydrates. So you just look around. All the answers are out there in the world. Everything is there. No need for somebody to tell you something and obviously make you believe that, my clients don't take creatine, none of them. And there you can see them on my website. They're huge. What else is there? Do you recommend lean pork as a good protein source? Yes, pork is great. You can, if you like to eat pork, no problem. I'm not eating personally pork because of the flavor. Also lamb. I'm not big lover of lamb, so I don't eat it often. I like to eat it when I go when I go out or some good places when they do it properly. Then I eat lamb, but pork very very rarely. I just is the flavor. I ate 1 pound of beef and I had diarrhea in next morning. Well, you need to slowly get to this higher amounts of food. You can't just jump into it, right? If I say I'm doing 30 sets for legs, that doesn't mean that you should do 30 sets for legs. I'm just giving you a suggestion that you can increase number of sets that will clearly benefit you, as it benefited me and many others. But in order to get there, maybe a pound of steak was too much for you. Start eating, I don't know what is your normal intake of meat, maybe 200, 300 grams, of increase for 50 grams next time. Slowly try to see, maybe you can't digest 1 pound of meat, maybe it's too much for your system. So you need to slowly try to get to certain levels. So guys, let me answer a couple of more questions because we are coming to an end. There is somebody said the day after I load carbs, I feel very strong. Well, you feel very strong. I feel very strong every morning I wake up, and I don't eat any carbs. So feeling of strength is not necessarily something that depends on carbs. It may be more psychological. Uh, maybe you slept better. So, but if you think that is helping you, if you are strong and you go to the gym and do good session, but at the same time you're not getting fat, yeah, feel free to carb load as soon as you feel you should. That's all fine. Any more questions? Do you know Petr Celik and Miloš Šačev, and what was their approach to training and nutrition? By the way, it would be a great idea to make a video about the best ex-Yugoslav bodybuilders. Yes, I know them both. I know Petr Celik very well, and I know Miloš as well. Their approach, Petr Celik was the pioneer of bodybuilding in Yugoslavia. He was the first bodybuilder who looked almost perfect, having all the muscles developed, calves, quads, back, chest, shoulders, arms, very small waist, perfect definition. So he was some of those people who actually brought real bodybuilding to Yugoslavia, and I learned from him. Everybody learned from him. People like Miloš Šačev, Fikret Hodžić, Miodrag Prljević, many others. Myself, we all learned from him. So the information in those days came from him. I remember the day when I ordered these booklets. He had booklets like one booklet, one muscle group with exercises. I just couldn't believe. I spent the whole day reading them over and over. They're very small ones, and it was crazy. It's just I couldn't believe that a man can look like that. So his training system is also high training every day, high number of sets, high number of reps. Protein diet. He was on very, very hard protein diet, very extreme. Protein, no carbs, no fat. So they would eat, him and his friends, when they prepare for the show, they would eat just fish and egg whites. So imagine going on that diet, and they would get in an unbelievable shape within 4 to 6 weeks. I'm not saying that's the best diet in the world, but I just want to say that they experimented, they achieved it, and this was one of the hardest diets that you can do because there is absolutely no energy, no fat. I love to box and bodybuilding. Does the boxing stages muscle building? Well, if you want to be a marathon runner and a sprinter, you can't do both. You either be a marathon runner or a sprinter. So boxing is clearly low intensity, long duration exercise. Bodybuilding is opposite. So you need to choose. You need to be either more boxer than continue with bodybuilding as much as you can afford to do it, and you will probably benefit a little bit, gaining more muscles and strength. But if you're more inclined towards bodybuilding, then you can do your boxing maybe a couple of times a week. In that scenario, you may get the most out of your bodybuilding choice. But you need to choose, what do you really want. Guys, this is going to be the last question. Vincent asked, what did Menzer get wrong? Well, Menzer didn't do anything wrong. Menzer did everything right. When he won in 1978, I believe, in Honolulu, Mr. Universe, he was the only bodybuilder ever to reach the perfect score. He was in an amazing shape, the best shape of his life. Mike Manser then trained like everybody else. He spent in the gym over 4 hours every day, doing countless number of sets and high number of reps. People who trained with him then confirmed that many times in many interviews and many articles. People like Boyer Coe, Tom Platz, Casey Viator, and even his friend and autobiographer Johnny Little talked about Mike Manser training in 1978 when he achieved best results ever and best body ever. And he was training like everybody else, every muscle twice per week, high number of sets, number of reps. He started experimenting with higher intensity, dropped the volume a little bit, and in 1979 didn't end up in the same shape. He was also training high number of sets, not one set. He never did it, but he ended up in worse shape than in 1978. Now in 1980, in that famous Arnold return, Mike Manser was in the worst shape ever. And this is when he experimented with, again, a lower number of sets, but not with one set per exercise, not with the heavy duty that he came up with after. So, and he admitted himself that he wasn't in the best shape in 1980. Now, throughout his bodybuilding career, he never did high intensity, heavy duty training system, which he developed after his competitive years. And he promoted it as something very effective, very practical, and very applicable. That resonated with many people because not everybody had a few hours a day to go to the gym. So Mike Manser was very clever, and he created a system which will be performed a few times per week, 2 or 3 times per week, or maybe 4 times per week, but sessions were anywhere about 15, 20 minutes. So apparently one set per exercise, few exercises, and the whole session is done in 20 minutes. And that resonated with many office workers, with many people, with families. They thought, oh my God, this is fantastic. This guy is brilliant. He explained something with a bit of pseudoscience because not real science was there. Maybe he didn't have access in those days. But one way or another, Manser created his heavy duty principle. I have all his books in my library. He created that principle for a simple reason: to make money. He created it, he promoted it, he sold countless number of books, made lots of money. And this is the story of Mike Manser. Nothing that he did was wrong. He did everything right. Now, the story that he promoted was obviously false. Nobody ever did it. I never come across anybody doing heavy duty and being successful bodybuilder. Even Dorian Yates didn't do that. Even Dorian said that he took it to extreme. Dorian did 4 sets per exercise, did five exercises per muscle group, calling one set only as the last set, all out set, most important, fine. But Dorian's training sessions were never 5 exercises, meaning 5 sets. No, there were 20 sets. He would use 4 sets or even more every exercise. Nobody ever did heavy duty and achieve anything. That's it. So what did he do wrong? Nothing wrong. He did everything right. But then later on, he sold a story which didn't help anyone. Whoever believes in that, fine, believers are all around the world, and I wish them all the best. But I know that, like everybody else, wherever you go, whatever you do, anywhere in the world, you will see that whoever has built muscle has done it in a way that I'm suggesting to all of you. So, guys, thank you very much for tuning in tonight. Thank you for everybody who donated super stickers and super chats. And I hope to see you soon again. We're going to talk again. And until then, I wish you all the best.